Hello everybody, Adam Cleary here from FourFourTwo, and no disrespect to international football, but it's nice that football's back, isn't it? And better yet, as an extra special treat, since you've all been such good boys and girls so far this season, we've got probably the two best teams in the Premier League so far, having, if you're a terrible nerd, the most tactically interesting game of the season so far. And I think in some respects, both teams can claim to have won it. I mean, mostly Liverpool, obviously, yes, because they did actually win it, and that's what they end up giving you points for, but let's discuss. Alright, so to get us started, we have two teams who both adore a 4-2-3-1 this season, but also don't play a 4-2-3-1. In Liverpool's case, you've got a team who ask the 10 to go out here, one of the midfielders pushes up, Gravenberch stays on his own, the fullbacks come into the middle like that, and you end up with this, I'm going all over the place, this sort of 2, I can make that neater, this 2-3-5. But then in Chelsea's case, because so much of what they do goes through 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔-𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘, he's allowed to drift into his right-hand half space here. One of the City midfielders pushes up to sort of counterbalance that. 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗠𝗡 normally comes across from right back to give you a 2, and the defence sort of slides along, so you end up with a 3-2-5. Both ways are very good, both ways have been very effective, both ways make the most out of the individual players both teams have, and both teams have been really good this season as a result. But the reason why horrid, grubby little nerds like me were really looking forward to this game was because you had two managers on the sidelines who love to make adjustments based on the opposition, and this was their biggest game each of the season. We knew some things were going to be different. Now, in Liverpool's case, as we discussed in the video we just did on Liverpool, their 2-3 build-up shape is designed to have great big distances between these players so you can move the ball around and drag the opposition all over the place. But Chelsea have a man-for-man press. They were going to match up every single one of these players individually, and if you lose that ball anywhere in this situation, because Chelsea are very good at doing this, you'd be in a lot of trouble. So Arne Slot's solution was to sort of get rid of this big gap they like to have between sort of the attack and the defence, drop Curtis Jones a lot wider, push Trent Alexander-Arnold a lot further up, so you end up with basically these two players on a very similar line, and then, this is the really clever bit, go with a back four that includes the goalkeeper. So now, if Chelsea do still want to press you man for man, that's an awful lot of bodies they've got to commit to this area of the pitch, but also, you've got more players in this area yourself. The distances are shorter, there's more bodies around the ball, you're in way more control of that situation, and if you do need to get out and go over it, you've got two players all the way out here who you can play into. But as for Chelsea, they also want to sort of reduce those risks in build-up. They wanted to keep a lot of physicality in the centre of the pitch. So because Reece James was back and playing right back, what that meant was Caicedo and Lavia both sat deep. 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 still went into his preferred right-hand half space, and they took the inverted fullback concept and went insane with it. And that, plain and simply, is why he didn't start Enzo Fernandez in this game. Like, he wanted this area of the pitch to be combative, to be physical. There was no onus whatsoever on Lavia to push into that another advanced 8 position, so they just had Gusto come all the way from left back to do it instead. And as a result, Chelsea's average position map kind of looks a little bit insane. Like, just sort of ignore Malo Gusto because he played left back and right back, so his average position comes out right in the middle, but you can still see how high up it was. Lavia is way further over on this left-hand side to A, cover that gap, but also B, be a problem for Salah. Now again, good, very clever, we like this, but the problem it presented Chelsea was one of quality. And that is going to be a theme in this video. The fundamental difference for Chelsea being in this attacking shape versus what they would normally do is that that is not Enzo Fernandez. That is sort of an 8/10 hybrid role, and it is Malo Gusto, who is a fantastic, fantastic player, but a very different one to Fernandez. And while Chelsea did a really good job of getting into this shape, they really struggled to find Gusto in anything even remotely resembling a dangerous area. Like, if I show you his heat map and his pass map, like obviously this is the part where he was playing as the right back, just focus on the left-hand side, how rarely he manages to get on the ball in the areas they would have been hoping to find him. Like, if you're inverting into this sort of attacking 8-10 position, that's where you've got to do your damage, and they couldn't really get him involved. And on the rare occasions they did, that's where that issue of quality comes in again. Like, I think Gusto's a fantastic player, but he's a very different profile to Fernandez. He hasn't got those creative instincts, that like technical execution of final balls, and so you kept ending up with little situations like this. But the real problem that Chelsea had, and this was absolutely more something that Liverpool did to them than just something they did badly, was Cole Palmer. When you talk about quality with Chelsea, that's where your brain immediately goes, and he had a very, very quiet game. Liverpool, whether it was 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔-𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘 or Jones, all of them, they did a really good job at locking up Cole Palmer. And if I show you his heat map from the game, hopefully, maybe you watched our Cole Palmer video the other week. He loves to be in this right-hand half space, but you can see Liverpool almost completely forced him out of it. This is always where Chelsea tried to find Palmer with the ball. He drops out of the 10 position into this channel between one of the centre-backs and the fullback. He can go around them, he can go through them, he can put balls over the top, he can go for goal himself. If you can keep him out of that area, you're normally okay. And you take that and you combine it with the fact that Liverpool weren't playing a particularly high line. They sat nice and deep, meant he couldn't even do his usual plan B of drop into the right back area and hit balls over the top. Like, they took away all of Palmer's tools. However, despite the fact that Liverpool did a very good job on Chelsea, I still thought watching it, Chelsea had the better of the game. They seemed to be the team that were in control. Like, I don't normally use this momentum graph from SoFarScore because there's so many different things go into it. It's very difficult to draw any sort of actual conclusions. But for Liverpool playing at home, all these bits here are where Chelsea were having more of the ball, better territory, creating chances, and all these bits here are where Liverpool were doing it. You don't often see that sort of balance in a Liverpool home game. In fact, you never see it. And I think when you combine that graph with just like the eye test when you were watching it, it's very easy to draw the conclusion that Maresca actually won the tactical battle against Slot here. However, you don't get anything for winning the tactical battle. That's not a real thing, is it? Liverpool won the actual match because of a difference, here's that word again, in quality. And there is no better illustration of that than Curtis Jones. A conclusion you can both easily and correctly draw from the selection of Caicedo and Lavia as a pair is that Maresca, just like Slot, knew this game was going to come down to individual battles. And Curtis Jones walked off that pitch the world heavyweight champion of winning individual battles. Of all the players in the middle of that park, he won the most ground duels, 6 out of 8. He made the highest number of defensive actions. He made the highest number of tackles. He won the most number of fouls. And yet you, or I suspect to any normal person watching that match, probably don't even remember it for being like a rugged battling display. You're going to remember it, here's that word again, for his quality, especially on the ball. Now, as we've already said, Liverpool's 4-2-3-1 isn't a real thing. It's wuzza-wuzoo, it's fairy dust, it's or whatever that Matthew McConaughey bit is in The Wolf of Wall Street. Gravenberch drops in as a sole 6. The 2-8, they kind of press up and you get these 5 here and these 5 here. And thus, if you look at their average positions across this game, it's a lot more structured than Chelsea's were because it was a lot more of a structured, sort of compact, disciplined performance. You can see the 4 at the back, you can see a nice midfield 3 here, and then the 3 up front. But there was an incredible moment really early on in this game involving Curtis Jones. Liverpool are sort of back in their defensive shape, but this is a more dangerous situation than it looks. This ball is loose, and if Chelsea win it, they're in a really good position to go attack. But what he does is he dominates Caicedo here. He wins it, and then, more importantly, he doesn't panic. He gets turned, he goes past 2 Chelsea players, and then drags Liverpool up the field almost on his own. And from there, Liverpool get into quite a dangerous position, and when it goes out to the right-hand side, look where Jones is now. He's gone from his deeper sort of double pivot position in the off-the-ball 4-2-3-1, and now already he's in that left-hand attacking 8/10 position, making a run into the box. And if we look at his heat map from that game, it paints actually a pretty interesting picture of this match. You can see the big splodge in the centre from where he was doing his defensive work, where he was being neat, where he was being tidy, where he was being the sort of disciplined system player that Slot was asking everyone to be. But you can also see that the bulk of his work actually comes right out on the left-hand side. So when Liverpool were in possession, he wasn't just staying in this area, he was floating as far out as he could to get some space, to get onto the ball, and then driving back in field with it. But similar to what we've just said about Malo Gusto, there's nothing really going on the edge of the box. Like, bear in mind, the 2 of them, despite starting in completely different positions, are the left-sided 8/10. Like, that's the same position, effectively. But the difference is, Gusto in that position is expected to be an on-the-ball, chance-creating sort of classic number 10. Curtis Jones was basically Liverpool's second striker. And that's where Liverpool's penalty that was a penalty came from. It's where Liverpool's penalty that wasn't a penalty came from. And most importantly, it's where his goal came from. And in fact, that goal's actually mad because when the ball goes out to Salah, you can see it clear as Christmas. They are in that 4-3-3 shape. And even as Salah cuts inside to put this cross in, if you pause it, Chelsea are actually really, really well set up here. But again, and I should have had a counter on screen for how many times I'm using this word, this is where the quality tells. The accuracy and the pace on the cross, the timing of the run from Curtis Jones. Like, I think Reece James, if I remember rightly, got absolute pelters from Jamie Carragher on the Sky coverage for being slightly deeper here and not in line. But even if we just, can I do this digitally? If we put him here, if he was bang in line with everybody else, not only is Jones still onside, making the run look even better timed, but he's actually further away. I'd have even less chance of stopping him. If we are going to talk about the quality involved in this goal, this bit here is where it ends, because that is not a good touch. And it is in fact a lack of, quality by Chelsea that sees it end up in the back of the net. Robert Sanchez, mate, goalkeeper to goalkeeper here, that cannot go in. And in fact, not to toot my own cock here, but if we rewind the tape all the way to the very first video I did about Maresca's Chelsea, even I, me, an idiot, said this. Leicester's goalkeeper was every bit as good on the ball as everybody else in this newly formed back four. He was patient with it. He wouldn't get panicked. He could play through the press. He could play over the top. He could play long. He was a really valuable weapon for them to have when they had the ball at the back. Now, Chelsea fans, I will leave it up to you to decide whether you think 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 or Robert Sanchez are capable of playing this bananas role at Premier League level. But while I'm not saying I think they'll go out and spend big money on a goalkeeper, I am thinking it very loudly. But what ultimately Enzo Maresca wants is a goalkeeper who is as comfortable on the ball as anyone else in the back four. So when you see this shape, there's not obviously one player in it who's less comfortable having it. Like, I'll show you his pass map from that game, right? You can see there's loads of left and right. You can rely on him. He isn't going to let you down. But what you want is passes that actually end up in this area, that find that first sort of stage of the midfield rather than just another defender. And there's literally one of those. It's in the 87th minute. This is it right here. And I would not say that is a great deal of pressure. It's a good pass. It's the right pass. He's done it there, but he doesn't really do it consistently. Like, what this is safe, right? Which is fine if you're then an incredible shot stopper. So it's kind of worth sort of the sacrifice of the ball progression because you're going to keep loads out. But even looking at his numbers this season for that, it's one of the sort of worst ranked goalkeepers this season for keeping the ball out. And again, just goalkeeper to goalkeeper. Like, I've come in today with what I think is a broken finger. I don't know if you can see on camera how black that is slowly going, because I threw myself, I was playing yesterday afternoon, I threw myself into the studs of a much bigger boy trying to preserve a 1-1 lead. In this situation, Robert Sanchez should be taking ball and Jones balls as if it's nothing to him. But speaking of which, and just to conclude on a Liverpool point, because this is quite a Chelsea-focused video, I think again it's worth pointing out just how important Curtis Jones was yesterday. Because several times in this video we've talked about Liverpool's system and how disciplined it was and how deep they were and how compact they were and how they got from one shape into another really, really well. These are the hallmarks, these are the tenets of Arne Slot's Liverpool. They are so much more disciplined and better organised than they were under Jurgen Klopp. That's why they're hardly conceding any goals. But the thing with really structured systems is you need somewhere a maverick. Curtis Jones did not win 1.5 penalties and score the winning goal yesterday because he was doing very disciplined, very structured work. He did all that because he knew when the time was right to ignore it. And just to go back to his heat map, and you may need to squint slightly for this, you can see where the structure and the discipline is. When we haven't got the ball, get back into this position and help us compete, help us be combative in the middle. Do not let Chelsea win those battles. And when we do get on the ball, drift out into this area where you will find the space and we can make these attacks from the left-hand side. But the really important bit isn't these two big blotches, it's these really small yellow ones right in the box. He was choosing his moments when to go for the jugular superbly, and because of his, in my opinion, incredibly underappreciated quality, that's what won Liverpool the game. And maybe this is a slight tangent here, right? But I love players like Curtis Jones because to me, they are why you actually have to go and watch football rather than relying on just sort of data and graphs and stats and dweebs like me. Like, if you look at the data, there's nothing that's ever really going to leap off the page at you. Like, maybe he's really good at carrying the ball into the box. One of the best in the league at that, but he plays for a team that's going to get a lot of those sort of situations. So that's not really that impressive. But if you watch 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏. You just see, like, the levels he operates on, both up here and with his feet, are way beyond what he gets credit for. And in fact, not to potentially start a massive argument between Liverpool fans in the comments, a Liverpool fan friend of mine who has a season ticket described 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 as people who don't go to the match don't get it. People who do go to the match love him. Is that true? I have no idea, but please discuss amongst yourselves, Liverpool fans, in the comments, and of course any other thoughts and feelings about the match as a whole. But now, I have important news to share with you. First off, the more eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that I am wearing the finest football shirt you have ever clapped eyes on. We have collaborated with actual Admiral, to make an actual football shirt, to celebrate FourFourTwo's 30th birthday. And I absolutely adore this. And if you are also someone of incredibly refined tastes and you adore it too, then you can own it if you would like to do that. We had a couple of extra ones made. They're available. I think the link will be in the description. I probably should have checked that before I recorded the video. They come in all, they said shapes and sizes. They're all football shirt shaped, but they come in various sizes, and you can have one and you can wear it and you can tell all your friends how cool you are. But then, second thing, if you really, really want to be cool, we're not just making football shirts to celebrate our 30th birthday. We are having the event to end all events. We're going to be at Classic Football Shirts in London on the 21st of November for our 30th birthday party. We are joined by Paul Merson, now that sadly he is out of Strictly, Andre Parla. I will be there, Adam Monk will be there, the whole FourFourTwo team will be there. Assorted other luminaries. I don't know who, but maybe they'll show up and you can get a photo with them. But you can come to that as well. We are selling a limited number of tickets, a really limited number of tickets. They may not even still be on sale when you see this, but I'll stick the description down below. It's going to be a lot of fun. There is some drink, there is some music. We are doing a goodie bag, which, if you've seen the little advert I've done, comes with a guarantee of 0 tat and is currently worth several times more than the cost of the ticket. Genuinely, it's the greatest goodie bag ever made. And yes, Legal have asked me just to point out that the greatest goodie bag of all time claim is me. It's my personal opinion, might not necessarily reflect the views of FourFourTwo or its sponsors, but maybe I know loads about goodie bags. Do you ever think about that? But yes, anyway, that is the video. That's me on all the socials, at Adam Cleary, CLERY. Was that interesting? Did you enjoy it? Was I talking nonsense? All opinions are absolutely welcome. The latest issue of FourFourTwo, the 30th birthday issue, hence the shirt and the party, that is on sale now. It's probably my favourite one we've ever done in the time that I've been here, so treat yourself to that would be my advice. Comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's obviously really good too, because when we make videos, you get to watch them. And that's it. Liverpool, Chelsea. Two sides that everyone has said have been really good this season, but haven't really played anybody yet, have now played somebody yet. And one of them won and is feeling very good about that. And the other should still feel good, even though they lost. Yeah, that's it. Bye.